Welcome to the Who's Left podcast, a show about Indiana politics, history, and culture from the unapologetic perspective of the Hoosier Left. My name is Scott Aaron Rogers, and I'm recording from Bloomington. So last week, we spent a lot of time talking about one consistent theme: the fraying social safety net and the real Hoosiers who fall through. Disability advocate Jennifer David talked about both recent and larger looming Medicaid cuts. Then Saturday, I anchored an 8.5 hour live stream in conjunction with the nationwide Families First Day of Action, jumping to sites across the state, checking in with Indiana Rural Summit's motorcade for Medicaid as they stopped at several of the rural hospitals in danger of closure, and listening to stories from people whose lives would be negatively affected by those cuts. Finally, on Sunday morning's Who's Left This Week panel, we revisited the topic during our One Big Thing segment. This week's topic: action. As the pain of Trump's tariffs, the cuts to human services, and open cruelty of the regime radicalize people, so many folks have a desire to help but don't know where to begin. Getting involved in party politics is one entry point, but it can be intimidating, unappealing, or inaccessible to many people. Originally formed in the wake of Trump's first election, one organization offering another on ramp to activism is Indivisible. From their website, quote, Indivisible started as the Indivisible Guide, a Google Doc guide to organizing locally to pressure your elected officials to resist Trump's agenda. It caught fire as millions of people picked up the guide and its name, Indivisible, and organized their own local Indivisible groups to put the guide into action. These new Indivisible activists formed a nationwide movement of people taking matters into their own hands to build their own power through collective action. Indivisible National is a social movement organization that grew as the Indivisible movement grew, building out a professional team of organizers, wonks, campaigners, digital and data specialists, and other experts to support the movement and fight for progressive values. Like other social movement organizations, Indivisible's staff both supports and works independently of the movement itself, just as local Indivisible groups both take autonomous action and also coordinate with each other and with our national team. Today, the Indivisible movement is a progressive grassroots movement of millions of activists across every state, fueled by a partnership between thousands of autonomous local Indivisible groups and a national staff. Indivisible's national team offers strategic leadership, movement coordination, and support to Indivisible activists, and also directly lobbies Congress, builds partnerships, runs media campaigns, and develops advocacy strategies. Together, we fight to defeat the right wing takeover of American government and build an inclusive democracy. My guests today are organizers with Indivisible chapters in different parts of the state. Kim Eldridge is an original member of Indivisible Northwest Indiana, one of the longest continually operating groups in the organization. Karen Byrd handles communications for Indivisible Central Indiana, the chapter active in the greater Indianapolis area. In the following conversation, we'll talk about how they each got involved with Indivisible, finding the activism lane that suits your strengths, and the impact of person-to-person organizing. We examine the nuances of managing people, moving diverse teams in one direction, and how to build solidarity. Real quick, before we get to the interview, please consider supporting Who's Left with a paid subscription. This is an independent media project. I don't paywall content, and I don't rely on advertising. Only individuals like you keep this thing going. Maybe I could make more money if I did things differently, but I refuse to gatekeep valuable information in the middle of a political crisis. So please, if you find value in this work, go to whosleft.us and subscribe at the paid level. It's only $5 a month or $50 a year to help me write more, research more, and organize more. Not ready for a long-term commitment? You can make a one-time contribution on Cash App or Venmo. Links are in the show notes. Me and my old body would like to spend less time on construction and more time constructing a better future for Indiana, but I need your financial support to do so. But if that doesn't work for your budget at this time, you can still help out by liking and sharing on social media, commenting, leaving reviews, providing feedback, and forwarding articles to your people. We are building a community of Hoosiers dedicated to making this state and its government work for all of us, not just the elite few. Follow us on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left. And I'm personally at ScottROG78 on Instagram, Threads, Twitter, and Mastodon. Tell the others. Let's build a radically democratic Indiana together. Thanks again. Now, here is my conversation with Karen Byrd and Kim Eldridge. This is awesome. I get a chance to talk to two guests tonight, which is a special treat. I've got with me Karen Byrd from Indivisible of Central Indiana and Kim Eldridge of Indivisible of Northwest Indiana. Welcome to you both.
Nice to be here, Scott.
Nice to be here.
I'm so glad to have the both of you. So, Kim, I understand that Indivisible Northwest Indiana is an original Indivisible chapter and one of the oldest in the organization. Is that right?
Yes, that is true. Indivisible formed as a organization right after Trump, immediately after Trump became president the first time. And we saw the Indivisible Guide, or I should say a couple friends of mine saw the Indivisible Guide online, decided at that point to make a chapter. And that's been 8.5 years ago. And so, yes, we have been one of the very first chapters to be formed, and the first one in Indiana.
So what was it about Indivisible at that time that really seemed like that was the way you wanted to go with your activism and your organizing? A lot of people, maybe they got involved in the Democratic Party, maybe
Right.
they got involved in something else. What was it about Indivisible that drew you to that organization?
Well, Indivisible, when they were first formed, like I said, they wrote the two directors of Indivisible, Leah and Ezra. They wrote something called the Indivisible Guide. This was sent to me right away. My friends were like, "Got to read this. This is amazing." And what it was a guide to the general public on how to interact with your elected officials, how
Hmm.
to get out there and do your activism, all the things that a elected official would listen to, and all the things that they probably wouldn't care anything about. And the reason they were able to write this is because they had worked for members of Congress and the Senate. And so they were able to give the public a really good guide as to kind of the do's and don'ts, the things that are important to activism. And so once I read through that, I was like, wow, this is the first really clear, I think, message that I have seen as to how people can get involved without having to join any particular party, how we could be involved as individuals. And of course, they were progressive, which really spoke to me. And so that's why I got involved, because I saw a way to do it without labels, number one, which I
Yeah.
thought was important. I mean, honestly, at that time, I felt like the Democratic Party was kind of like an old boys, old girls club. It wasn't really speaking to me. And as it turns out, this spoke to many people who kind of felt the
Yeah.
same way.
Karen, is that sort of what drew you into Indivisible as well?
It is. So, Indivisible Central Indiana is going to be a little newer than Northwest Indiana. I know that they did exist prior to this most recent 2024 election, but I think they were dormant for a long time,
Yeah.
because I also received that playbook an updated one after the most recent election, November 6th. And so I was kind of looking like, what do we do now? Because I wasn't the most politically active back in 2016. Like I voted and I had canvassed for Obama and a couple of other candidates, but I wasn't, like plugged in or anything like that. But there was a sense that this time was going to be different. Like this isn't what we've been doing prior to now, that this was going to require a different response, that electoral politics as usual was not going to cut it. And that if we didn't do something, it was going to be like a real problem, like the kind of problems that they have in like Eastern Europe and places that,
Yeah.
experiences that we haven't had really as Americans, even in the past where we've had overreaching presidents. They weren't necessarily trying to get rid of democracy. They just kind of had
Yeah.
a thing they wanted to do and people said no. So they were like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. But that's different, I feel, than in a coordinated attempt to actually change the system to something that is not democracy. I don't think we've quite been through that before at the federal level. So I was like, okay, gotta find something because we're going to need to do work, and we might as well start now. And at that time, it was only Indivisible Northwest Indiana, and then there was an Indivisible in Illinois, in like Urbana-Champaign, which is actually a little bit
Mhm.
closer to me, I think, to Northwest Indiana. So I was in both of those, and I was just like attending meetings, kind of see what was going on. And then I searched again later, and then there were some closer ones. There was like Muncie one. There's one like there's a Brown County one. There's this one. I think the Brown County one's fairly new too. But then there
Right.
was like, oh, there's one here in Indianapolis.
Right.
And so then I kind of joined that. And then basically I've been doing, the town halls. I went to that first Todd Young one. There's been a bunch of, like calls to Congress. We were focused a lot on that bill and trying to stop it. And then now that that's over, national is going in a different direction. So they're going very much in this populist uprising kind of
Yeah.
coordinated effort to resist fascism, less than more that than the usual of let's try to influence our representatives to vote this way. The
Right.
kind of there's been like a mindset shift. We're like, okay, we tried to do this thing, it didn't pass. It was a worthy effort, but it did not work. So we are going to do something more now. And so we're having an event this July 31st, and basically we're calling it an activist fair. This month they've been doing the Good Trouble theme in honor of the passing of John Lewis, I think 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're having
Man.
we're calling it an activist fair, and basically this is an attempt to kind of tie together different progressive and like I guess pro democracy organizations in the country, and also here right now it's in Indiana. But like we want to be working together as opposed to just kind of all working alongside each other without knowing who each other are. There's a lot of duplicate work happening. A lot of people trying to reinvent the wheel, especially in like a red state like Indiana. There's
Right.
people that if they want to do something, even if it's not explicitly like progressive, like there's a lot of progressives there, but there's also like the Sierra clubs coming. There's some environmental groups, there's some like reproductive rights groups, that they're not that they think they're alone whenever they decide they want to do something. They're like, oh, we want to
Right.
influence this law in our town, and they're like, oh, we have to do it by ourselves because Indiana's a red state, so nobody's going to care except us four. But this just isn't true at all. And I think that the protests have really opened people's eyes to that, not just in Indiana, but in a lot of places. That even in your super red town, even if you saw online, 10 million views and 50 million comments saying that, yes, we love Trump and we love everything he's doing and screw democracy, that doesn't actually represent reality. And that there's tons of people all around you who feel the same way you do, who want to get involved, who want to do something to stop this. They can see the problem coming down the tracks toward us and they want to do something to prevent it, and that we can do it together, but we have to get together and coordinate. And so us, in combination with the Black Church Coalition and Concerned Clergy here in Indianapolis, are kind of doing this event. This is the second one. The first one was back in February. It was okay, but it wasn't as well organized. I think we weren't as established as a group yet. But now we're really trying to. Hey, we've got a much bigger space. I think there's 18 groups coming, and as opposed to like 5 before. And we're bringing in more that people that aren't the usual suspects, I guess you want to call it. So they're not already involved in progressive organizing. So we're trying to get out and like reach people just like in clubs, in whatever, that just happen across it, that are not already involved, to kind of find their niche and just get involved in like the pro democracy movement. So I think I talked.
Yeah, no, you make a lot of really good points there. Well, because it's like you said, it's this the Trump has been kind of a radicalizing moment for a
Mhm,
lot of people, and they
mhm.
want to know like how to get involved. And Kim, it sounds like in 2016, maybe after that election, that was the moment for you, like, oh my
Yeah.
god, I gotta do something about this now.
Well, I had, to go back a little farther, I had been a person who was working in Obama for America headquarters.
Oh,
And um, I was like a super volunteer for President Obama.
Yeah.
But as we know, as things went along and the president left office,
mhm,
everything just exploded from there.
mhm,
And I felt at that point, I felt like I said, I felt strongly, and so did a lot of people I talked to, that the Democratic Party really wasn't meeting the moment.
mhm,
So yeah, at that point, that's where Indivisible came in. And I have to say now, I agree with Karen. We've kind of all shifted gears, and we're all worried about the march towards fascism. I
mhm.
mean, it's
Yeah.
very apparent. It's there. And we've all taken notice. And I can say up here in Northwest Indiana, it's always been a more blue area, right?
Same for
It's
Indianapolis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
right, and Indianapolis too. But Northwest Indiana for a long time was a Democratic stronghold. It's
Hmm.
a
Yeah,
little
I grew up there, and we were always
well, it's a little
blue. It was
less
really a shock to the
a
system to
little
move to
less
southern Indiana.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little less so now, and that's a little
Yeah.
distressing. The one thing about up here in Northwest Indiana though is we have a lot of what I'd call left-leaning groups, right? I
Mhm,
mean, besides
Hmm.
the Democratic Party, we're kind of lucky up here because there are a lot of groups. Indivisible is not the only group, even though we're a very large group up here. The great thing, though, up here is that we, just like Karen said, we partner with
mhm.
we partner, we are those people. I think Indivisible is that organization. They believe in partnership. They
Yep.
believe in not reinventing the wheel. If I see that another group is doing something really well, we invite them. We invite them to partner with us and to learn from their strengths or learn from something they're already doing and vice versa. So that really works well. As a matter of fact, Karen, you were mentioning your July 31st
Mhm.
event. We're having an event on July 31st also, which is a civics literacy lab. And
Oh, is that with Mad Voters?
it is with Mad
I
Voters.
love them, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna deliver one of
Great.
those one day.
Great.
We haven't
Or
decided
great
where yet, but
And
organization.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's just an example. We do a lot of things, and we have a lot of what we call working groups. Okay.
Mhm,
We have one of our working groups is civics education and voter registration. Those go together. And that's what we were out there doing. But we had been thinking of a way to set up our own civics literacy lab. And then we saw that Mad Voters was doing this great one.
they
And so
have
we
really
reached out to them, and they were super happy to say, yeah, we'll come to you.
yep.
Um,
And
I
if you
think,
can supply them with volunteers, they would love that too, who wanna
yeah,
present literacy
yeah,
labs. They would like that because then we need more, like, especially out further. Because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, I can do any, like, in Marion County, but I probably can't get away
right,
during work to the further places." So, if
right.
you've got people up there that wanna do it, tell
Yeah,
them.
and our group covers not just one county.
Yeah.
We cover several counties. And so we've got voter registration squad that goes out to all those counties, and we've been asked to come out farther south in Indiana
Oh,
to do
yeah.
voter
Wow.
registration and civics education. So it's a great thing. We're happy that people invite us to do this.
Yeah.
And we're happy to, this civics literacy lab, as a matter of fact, it's filled. We had a registration,
Oh,
it's
wow.
filled already.
That's amazing.
We can't accept anyone else, which is kind of sad. We wish we had the room to accept more people, but it's
Mhm.
already filled. So, it looks like it's going to be a great event. And if so, we're happy to plan another one with them for the
Mhm.
people who weren't able to join us this time.
Oh, yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And it sounds like really what both indivisible groups are offering in your own ways is a way in
Mhm.
for people who sort of feel intuitively they know that things are wrong, and
Mhm.
maybe the mainstream media, maybe the media they're checking out isn't talking about it with as much urgency as they should.
This is a
The
huge
people
issue.
sense this, yeah, and they
Yeah.
know they need to get involved, but like, not everybody is gonna be right there on the front lines, and that's okay
Yeah.
because there is a lane for everybody that wants to help, really. And Karen, it sounds like with this fair you guys have coming up
Mhm.
on the 31st, it's really like an opportunity for folks to sort of find their lane
That
to
is
help
exactly right.
out in this fight. Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to be doing the same thing. Not everybody's going to or can do the same thing. Not everybody is a get in the streets and yell with signs person. Like I can do that, but it's not really my like main thing to do. I definitely like marching around. That's a lot of fun, but like a lot of people's talents lie elsewhere. Like there's a lot of angles to this bill even just passing. And so we've been done a couple of like meetings or like educational trainings on what this bill means for Indiana, like the amount of hospitals that are closing, the
Yeah.
climate stuff that's been rolled back, the budget cuts. They're firing people already at the state house. Like I talked to somebody at the Good
Yeah.
Trouble one. I gave like a speech there at this one on last Thursday, and I met someone who's like, yeah, they cut our department by like all this money because it sounded like an unimportant department and nobody there knows what they do. So they're trying to reach out to Todd Young because he has something that he cares about that they do, and they're hoping that that's going to be enough to influence him. And I was like, I hope so too. But we called him a lot. Like I'm like, he is aware of what this is going to do to Indiana.
He
This is
is.
not
He is.
it's not a mystery. He's not in a
Yeah.
cave. He's
No.
hiding from us because
Yeah.
he knows it's wrong. Before this, he was a moderate Republican. Now,
Yeah.
when you read his, I've subscribed to his newsletter, and most of it is just
Yeah.
normal, like we've opened this barn, and then at the end there'll be some crazy like MAGA sentence
Yeah.
about how he loves RFK, and it's so transparent that he is trying to avoid, just keep his head down throughout this whole thing,
It
and
is
not
because that
single
was
out.
never him before.
It's not him now,
No.
It's
and he
really
knows.
disappointing. Yeah.
We've got like I don't know about you guys, like how you've interacted with electeds, but for Todd Young in particular, because Jim Banks is like a lost cause.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically, we
Yeah.
organized like 14 trips to his offices, the ones here in Indianapolis on 96th Street, and we've been in there talking to his staffers, and he has good staffers. Like his staffers are not
Yeah.
like bank staffers who will like tell you to f off. Like
No, he
they're
has
really good.
excellent
They
staff.
take his messages, and I believe that they pass on the
Yeah,
messages to.
they do.
Um, and so every now and then we'll find out that he's been somewhere. He's like gone there under the cover of night.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, the electoral stuff is just not going to be enough. And
No.
I think communication is like a huge piece of this, not just communication with each other. A lot of the volunteer groups, everybody already involved fully understands what we're dealing with. Like, there's been very little like ego clashes, there's been very little disagreement. We all know we need to lock in and do this stuff. But
Right.
like the broader conversation, a lot of media outlets are still acting like this is normal
Hmm.
politics. They
Right.
treat it as if it's normal back and forth. And it's just not. It's not in any way. And there was just like some op-ed or something, or maybe it wasn't an op-ed. It sounded like when it was written like one in the New York Times. Some guy telling the Democrats what they need to do to earn back America. And it's like, do you understand that these people have orchestrated like a fascist overthrow? Like this is autocratic breakthrough. This is the kind of stuff that happens in like Belarus. Like, but they're not covering it
Yeah.
like that. And so I'm like, it's gonna be, I guess, incumbent on us now and
They're
like
afraid.
what parts of the party we can muster together to do
Right.
this. Because I'm like, we need to be out there talking about this in a way that like mirrors people's feelings. Because there's just so much normalization and just sane washing of all the stuff going on. And people need to be able to like look out and say, oh, yeah, this really is happening. I'm like nervous for a reason and I need to do something. And I think that that's
Yes.
going to be like we've started these new like working groups or action teams, we're calling them. So we have one for immigration that just started. We've got like a healthcare one. I'm on the comms, the communication one. And then there's like two or three others for there's like an electoral politics, voter registration, like communicate with electeds one. And we all kind of like bounce between sometimes, but people are going to be kind of in their lane so that we can do more than one thing at a time. But I'm like, it's so important that we're like out there talking about what's going on and saying, hey, this is the plan for what we want to do later. Once we have the people in place, this is the plan for how to fix this. Like we need like a message that says, hey, you're not crazy. This is a problem. We can fix it together. It's the only way we can do it is by doing it in like a just a mass like public uprising together, and just kind of recreating that like civic or like civil society feeling that's kind of been eroded over the last 50 years, where we're all individualized, we're all in our bubbles, everybody has a distorted view of
Yes.
reality, everybody can be micro targeted. So it's really important to get out and see, yes, there's social proof. People are out here. It's real. Come join us. Get out here. Find your niche. Find your way in. And let's get our feet on the ground and get moving here. So, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
Indivisible National seems to be going that direction as well.
Yeah, Kim, it really sounds like you guys are sort of doing a similar thing. Like,
Yeah.
you're explaining to folks who maybe don't know, who have been underserved by the media and by our education system, to like really not know how the system works. They don't know what power
What's
they
normal?
have, right?
Ex-
And
exactly.
so what you guys are doing this coming week is to really inform folks about like the way the system works. So you both of your groups are really trying to bring people in their own different ways. Yeah.
Yes, and like I said, we're doing that civics literacy lab, but on a regular meeting, I mean,
Hmm.
we've been having huge meetings for months. I mean, 100 people plus at a meeting, which is great because we open our meetings to everybody, and we found that we've gotten all kinds of people. Many of us we call ourselves progressive, but we also have people who are maybe a little more conservative, but they still feel at home with us because we try to make a home for we try to make everybody feel comfortable because we feel the first thing we want to do is educate people and inform them. And so a good many of our meetings are just that. Going over the topics of the day, whether that be local, that be state, and that be federal, informing people about what's going on. And that means legislation, to everything else. And then we have working groups where we identify issues that are really important to the people who are part of our group. And we have all kinds of people who are working on those issues. We send people out to do that. That way it appeals to everybody because there's something that everybody can work on. And one of the big things we always say is, be active in the way that you can. We don't force anybody to do everything, but we ask everybody to do one thing, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody has one thing that they can do well or they feel comfortable doing. There are people who have joined us who are disabled.
Hmm.
There are people
Yeah.
who are consider themselves for the most part to be shut in. They occasionally make a meeting, but they worry that they can't get out and do a protest. They can't get out and do many things. And we tell them, you know what? There's plenty of things you can do
Okay.
sitting at home, getting online, making phone calls. We give people things to do
Hmm.
that are important to them, that,
Right.
lead to their strengths. And that makes everybody feel that they can be part of what we're doing.
If the governor can work from home in Jasper
Yeah.
and have a
Right?
helipad installed so he can get to
Oh my
Indianapolis
God.
Dude, I
quickly in an
can't believe that.
emergency,
It's
I
just
know.
amazing.
the rest of us, a lot of us can do our part from home too,
Right,
right?
right. There's a place for everybody. There's so many things to do. That's the thing, Karen. I'm sure you're sure about that too. There are so many things that need to be done right now that
Yep.
there's a place for everybody, where they can fit in to do something.
I mean, even people just organizing things. I'm in another organization. They're called Citizens Impeachment, and
Mhm.
basically they're pushing for impeachment. We're probably not going to get it until 2026.
No,
But even if we have an overwhelming majority of Democrats, that's not a guarantee that they're going to do it. I
no.
would not put it past some of those people in there to be like, well, let's wait out the term. And so
Right.
it's necessary to like build support now. But
Yeah.
there's people in there, and all they do is just collate information. They just collect information that's online. We have a whole thing where we're tracking all of the town halls that are happening. across the country during the August recess. And there's people, all they do is collect info and put it in a database. And it's not something they have to leave their house for. If they can move a mouse and copy and paste, they can do it. And it's critical work. It's not like it's just busy work that we hand it to
Right,
somebody. But
exactly.
like there's all this stuff that's needed that has to be kind of created from scratch or like related to one another that needs doing. And so it's definitely not just getting out and protesting. Although of course that's lovely too. We hope you
Sure,
do it.
it is.
But the rest of it, honestly, a lot of it's like more important. A lot of it too is like strategizing. Like
Right,
some stuff, we can just do a letter campaign, or we can just make people aware of it so that the next time they get to vote, they
right,
remember what the cause is. But
right.
some stuff, like we need a strategy for action, like this ICE stuff. Like a lot of people are going out there and kind of confronting them and recording them, and I'm like, that's important. But like we need a strategy to confront this.
Exactly.
And so we need people who have experience with that kind of thing, who know
Yeah,
how to challenge organizations like that in a way that doesn't get a lot of people hurt, but is still effective. Different angles of which to attack them. Like, do we go after, their pillars of support locally? Do we go more nationally? What's the weakest point at which they can be done? It's so much that's so important. And so this um, thing that we're having, this activist fair, we're focusing, like we're partnering with churches because they tend to have like a wide variety of people that attend. Like it'll just be people like in a given area or who have family or that are historically connected to it. And so we tend to get, not just people who already volunteer in leftist groups.
mhm,
And so the Black Church Coalition and the Concerned Clergy, we've done a couple of other actions with them, and we've gotten a lot of people to come in, a lot of people to volunteer and to become active in a way that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise, or were contacted when otherwise they might not have had the opportunity to do that because they're not on anyone's email list or anything like that. So those partnerships really are just rebuilding that kind of civic, like the sense that we're like in society together and we have to work together toward a goal, and not just like things on Twitter or share videos or whatever, which is
Yeah,
what politics has been reduced
right.
to, I would say,
we've
for the last
definitely made
at
that
least a
point.
decade. Yeah.
We've definitely talked to people a lot about social media because we have a really strong presence on
Mhm.
social media, but
Yeah.
we've also made the point to everybody
It's
that
not
that can't be everything. Being a,
yeah.
keyboard warrior, a social media warrior, and just, shooting stuff out to your own silos, your own siloed people does not help any of us. Yes, do we all need to be informed about certain issues and topics? Of course, but
Yeah.
that it can't just be to your
Online.
own circle. Doing that is no good. We make the point time and time again. We have people talk to people about how to use social media, how to get the point across, and how to reach out to other circles that are not just your own. That's super important.
And there's
Yeah,
just a
it's
sense
like
of
improv comedy,
unreality.
right? It's
Yeah.
like, "Yes, and we have to do
Yeah.
this." And it is important. It is, it is important to talk about these things online.
Yeah, it
That's the way in for a lot of people.
Mhm.
yeah,
But it's like, yeah, yes, we have to do that, and we have to make those personal connections so we can really reach each other at this human level. And yeah, everything is just so more impactful when
Mhm.
we talk about things on this human level, and it's easier to ask somebody to maybe take that next step
Mhm.
in activism when you know them, you know,
Yeah.
right,
um, like we all here, and if you're listening to this, probably you too, things are wrong, what's going wrong in our country, in our society, but um it may be hard to talk about those things with people in your life.
Mhm. Well, Indivisible is running a training now. They're calling it 1 Million Rising.
yeah,
And basically, it's 3 different trainings. The one was last week, and then there's the 30th, and then like middle of August. But basically, that whole thing is that you're going to have a party with 10 people that you know, and you're going to talk about this with them. And they need to be, just friends and family, not your political
Mhm.
associates, just
right,
friends and family. And there's like a whole toolkit explaining how to talk to them, how to like focus on what's important to them and like feed them in like through their issue or one of them. Like, this is what you need to do. But the general like impetus behind it is that it's not acceptable anymore to be passive and to sit on
right,
the sidelines.
right.
And I think that social media and just mediated communication in general to some degree kind of induces that in people, right? Because you're just passively listening, you're passively reading, you're clicking a couple of buttons to share it, but you're not really doing anything. You're not like producing the content, you're not interacting or engaging with anybody about the content. Usually, it's just online stuff on a screen, like, and everything's there, right? There's entertainment there, there's games there, there's serious stuff there, and it ends up just kind of psychologically, I think, putting it in one basket
Right.
where,
Yep.
oh, it all goes
Yep.
away if I turn my phone off or if
Sure.
I stop engaging with social media. And for a lot of stuff, that's true. But like politics can't be one of them. This, oh, I don't do politics. Well, politics does you. So
Yep.
you need to be there and you can't check out. It's not acceptable anymore to be, oh, I'm not in it. You are in it
Right.
and you need to help to
And
make sure that we don't.
we actively at meetings ask people. We figured this out a
Yeah.
long time ago that actually actively asking people to do certain things, like
Mhm.
after we've maybe gotten to know somebody just a little bit,
Yep.
we just ask them if they'll do a little job, just, "Hey, can you get involved with this, or can you please do this for me?" People really want to we find most people really want to be asked to do something
Uh-huh.
because a lot of people won't speak up on their own, but
Yeah.
if you ask them and tell them how important it is that they help, then you'll see all kinds of people saying, "Okay." It's just that some people, I would say most people, at first need a little direction
Yeah.
because it takes a little bit of courage to jump in, especially if you're not that person that raises their hand, "Oh, I'll do it all the time," right? It works to actually just put a little bit of trust in somebody that, "Hey, at the next meeting, can you bring this?"
Well, I mean,
Or,
people need leadership is the
yeah,
thing. Like,
Yeah.
and
"Can
it's
you
not
make a
just
few phone calls?" I mean, people really respond to that. It's the way to go.
like the
I,
US is
I,
kind of
I'll tell you,
leaderless
Kim.
right now. It's unimaginable prior to now.
Yeah.
One thing, I worked in hospitality for a long, long time, and I was management, and one thing I learned is if you need something done, you don't just shout out to everybody,
Somebody do
"Hey,
it.
somebody needs to take care of this,"
Right.
Got a
because if
people
you do
person.
that, everybody thinks the next guy's got it.
Yep.
Exactly.
You have to say, "Hey, you by name, Karen,
Right.
can you please do this? It would really help a lot. Kim, I need you to do this task. It would really help the team out." And generally, if you ask somebody on a personal level, they're not going to tell you no. They're like, "Oh, yeah, that's a small ask. Okay."
And
And
that's the key, start out with a small ask, make people feel comfortable, and
Mhm.
then make them feel, most times people try to do a great job,
Yeah.
and then you let them know they did a great job, and then they're even more eager to continue on after that.
Yeah, letting someone do you a favor is actually one of the best ways to get
Yeah.
them more involved,
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
opposed to doing something for them,
Yeah.
because they feel very, like, invested having done
Yeah.
something
They
like that.
feel invested, and I mean, I think that's a great feeling for most people.
Gives them a feeling, I think, of responsibility too, like, in,
Mhm.
like, emergency response training, if you've ever done, like, CPR, like, I was gonna be an EMT for a while,
Mhm.
but one of the things they
Yes.
teach was at an emergency event, if you're an EMT or a medical person, that is that you pick individual people and you tell them to do a thing. So you're like, "You call 911, you do
Yes.
this, you do that." Because if you just say someone, people tend to think that somebody else is in charge and somebody else will do it.
Right.
And so it's like, and I guess the same thing works, I guess, in a
Yeah.
lot of different contexts.
Yeah, no, this is like straight Psych 101, like bystander
It
effect stuff.
really is. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. But it is
And and
true, like,
and
that
it's true.
that
It absolutely works. Um,
Giving
answer.
people some responsibility, I think
Yep.
they really respond to that.
Mhm,
When they feel they're needed also. I think
mhm.
that's the thing. People like to
there it is. There
Yeah.
it is. With
and they are
just
needed.
the way capitalism and like neoliberalism especially have worked over the last several years, it's very atomizing.
Yeah.
We're all very much alone,
Mhm.
and we have our parasocial relationships online with people, and maybe influencers or whatever that we interact with sometimes, and we feel like we know them or whatever. But we all really want to just be involved. We want connection. We want to be a part of something bigger than ourselves, right?
Right.
And I do think both of you, what you're doing is that it is it's inviting people to be part of something bigger than just themselves.
Right, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's not just somebody at the top telling somebody else what to do. It's actually bringing people in, making them making them a part of what you're doing. That's why we have all these different working groups, and we have people who have taken on, managing the working groups because, they've started out with a little bit of responsibility, but now they feel like this particular group is their responsibility, and that's great because there shouldn't be just, like, for instance, I'm the president of this organization, but if I got hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody should be should it shouldn't all fold because something happened to me. It should be that, you're able to go on because there's so many great people that you've given responsibility to that can just pick up and do the work. That I think that's the whole point of an organization.
I'll tell you what, when I was a manager in a past life, that was something I struggled with a lot, was letting go and delegating and trusting other people to do the job. Because it does feel like, well, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I can do this. I am the only one that can do this, right? And it gets it get
It is
you
hard
can get to that point really easily. Um, Karen, do am
Oh,
I
yeah. I've
imagining
been
that?
now I
Yeah.
haven't been like a full manager, right? So I've been like an assistant manager before, and it was somewhat frustrating because I liked my team and we had a great working relationship, but the company around us, we didn't necessarily have the ability to improve the things that needed improving or to make the changes that needed made. So that
Yeah.
part was kind of frustrating. So I think that's something that I like about this is that there's no like
Yeah.
profit motive. There's no algorithm dictating the apartment prices or whatever. It's just we're working to do this thing. And if it contributes to the thing, you can suggest the thing and people will do it. Like they're going to respond to it. Like we're all like committed to actually doing something that is useful and that people want to do and that's good for society.
Yeah,
And so I think that it's something else that we're contributing to. It's not just, political training. It's not just, getting out of fascism, although of course those are things are
yeah.
important to do and are like our raison d'etre. But I think it's also recreating that feeling of existing in a society with other people that
Yeah, and
people
we're all equal partners, right? That's how I feel.
yeah.
We're all equal partners in this. There's no,
And
hierarchy.
it's not like oh, we're all trying to make money and we'll backstab each other
Right.
because of this motives or everybody is like in competition.
Yeah.
It's I read a thing. It was about they call them third places. And basically what they are is
Mm.
places that are not work or home that you can go to regularly to just hang out and meet people and get to know them and just like live your life. And the decline of those over the last 50 years
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how it's
Unions,
people don't used to hang out at the
fraternal
bar
organizations, stuff
or at
like
like
that.
the
Yeah.
the burger
Right.
place or the pool hall, malls are gone, and how there's been like a crackdown on teens
Right.
congregating or skateboarding outside and they have all these horrible things like there's some kind of siren that only teenagers can hear and so they just blast it in parking lots so that the teenagers don't hang out there and so basically everybody's just locked into their individual house and there's
Yep.
no way to like feel how people feel or see what they really think
Creates
and so
individual silos.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
then you see
Yeah.
this stuff online, and it just makes people feel like the world is much worse than it is in
Mhm.
terms of what other people are like. And so it's like, oh, actually, everyone's a terrible a-hole, and they're all mean, and they just leave mean comments, and they don't really like you, and you can't trust anybody. So you should just work for yourself and save your money and just live your own private life and not be in relationships with society at large. And I think that that is a huge reason that this has happened besides all the austerity stuff and blah blah the
Yeah.
macroeconomics but culturally there's been a huge shift where people are just alone in their house and they don't really know what people think out in the world and now it's all mediated through these things controlled by capital where it's like they can just decide. I was watching a thing where it was a couple, and they were reacting to a video. They're on there at the same time. They're reading the comments, but on each of their phones, there's different comments. And
Mm.
the comments, they're in a different order based on their personal algorithm on Instagram. And so one of them was just like, "Can you believe this stupid girl? She's so dumb. She should just shut up," on her boyfriend's phone. And then hers, it was like, "Can you believe how inconsiderate he is? This is why you should just stay single." Blah blah blah. Like, and it was just like sowing division because that gets the most reactions. And that kind of stuff is
Mm.
happening just all the time. And so I'm like such a huge proponent of we need to have in-person things more often. Like, obviously it can't be the same amount. That's ridiculous and it would be too much. But like a lot of this needs to be we get together in person to do this thing together, and then we can kind of go back and communicate online, and then we kind of get back together again, and they're just kind of back and forth and just reinforcing the feeling that we're in this together and we're not going to get through it alone in our just atomized like we have been. So
It's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that because what we've tried to do is something we're doing the beginning of next month. We do things called meetups.
oh yeah, I
We
used to be
have
in a
our big in-person meetings
yeah,
more than anything else. We do events, we do things on Zoom,
yeah,
but we decided we used to have like, we have a get together at Christmas time. We're
mhm,
also having a big summer meetup next week
yep,
because we just feel like and we tell people this isn't a meeting.
yeah,
This is
we're just getting together to like
we're gonna socialize and talk and get to know each other, like,
yeah,
outside of the meeting space,
yeah,
and people are really happy about it. I think people get, they when we do come back together to do the meetings and the events,
yeah,
everybody feels more connected.
connected. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, and so it's kind of nice to just socialize with the people that we're working with too.
They're doing something similar in Southern Indiana down on the Ohio River. They were calling it "Knock Your Block." And basically, they just went around their neighborhood and were like, "Oh, do you have enough emergency supplies?" Blah 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 blah, just to get to know everybody.
Yeah.
And they said it was creating really good. Like even after just one or two meetings, people were overwhelmingly like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're doing this." They're starting to do it in Fishers and Noblesville.
Yeah,
The Democratic
Lafayette
Party there, yeah,
Lafayette, which is one of the older chapters, and
yeah,
Muncie they're also doing them too.
yep, they're in conjunction with Fishers Democrats and I think Carmel
Right,
too. They've posted
right.
some stuff on Mobilize that I saw.
Yes.
I think I'm going to the Fishers one because I don't work that night. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I
But I
think that
think
that's
it's
such an
neat
Yeah.
important
that we
part of
are
it.
all doing these, and I think it's a really great thing for all the Indivisible chapters are doing this. I think it just makes people feel more cohesive when we come back together to
Yeah,
do work.
It's no, it's super important to get together in person, and online offers a certain degree of anonymity,
mhm,
right? And you would say crap to people
exactly.
online that you would not say to their face.
Mhm,
Right.
But really, like when it comes down to it and you get to know each other and you're standing right there with somebody person to person, you actually talk about what matters to you. It turns out most of us agree on most of the important
yeah,
stuff, and the people with power and money and influence want us to argue about the other things we don't agree on
Mhm.
yeah.
instead.
I mean, I could talk about this all day, but like I can't stress to you guys enough how much even the stuff we disagree on is totally manufactured by social media.
Mhm.
Like it puts people down these rabbit holes. And previously they didn't care about this thing, but now
Right,
they're super riled up that like, I don't know, the pastor's fourth cousin is a bank robber. And their entire personality is now about that because they've been served all these like fake ads and things. Like
right.
it's so destructive. And it's been such a hugely like I feel like underreported and like just under recognized aspect of all this. Like in the mainstream media, it's all about oh these issues are conflicting and people have different opinions
They
about
want
things.
to keep you angry.
But I'm like that's not the big thing. Like we
Conflict
need to
sells.
focus on
Yeah.
this thing. Like this is like the huge like I'll be here all day. We only have a few minutes left. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah.
You're right, though, you're right. And honestly, when I have friends, I have like, people are amazed sometimes, but I have quite a few conservative friends.
Mhm.
I don't have a hard time talking to them. I
Yeah.
find that there's a lot that we have in common more than anyone would let anyone else believe.
Yeah.
Well, that's because you can't act like the person online the way you do in person.
Right.
Like, it changes
Yep.
behavior too. It's not just that they're too cowardly to say that in person. they would not want to say it in person. Like, this is not something that you would ever do. The world would like collapse if people acted like this. Like, just every
Yeah,
time you walk,
daily,
they're like, ah, and they just throw like a banana at
Yeah.
you. Like,
it'd
it's
be
not.
frightening.
This only exists in the virtual world. It
Yeah.
like it would never happen. Like, there's a few people that would do that, but there've always been a few people that would do that. The most people are not going to, because
No.
it's only
Yeah.
something that happens because of the mode of communication. And if that mode didn't exist, they would not do it ever. So
Yeah,
it's
but I do think that many people are adverse to conflict in
oh
person.
yeah, and that's good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't want to start conflict
Yes.
for nothing.
Yes. Yes. We should behave that way online.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does. It offers us that distance. Like, you're not going to get punched in the face if you say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, so let's bring this thing back to the real world.
Oh,
And you do have in-person, real life events going on. Um, Kim, tell us one more time. You said you're full, right?
Yeah, for the July 31st event, we are already full. You had to register online for this. There was only a certain amount of people who could actually attend at a time, and we are totally full for that particular event. We have other events going on in August, but the one for July 31st is filled.
Are you going to be doing more similar events?
Yeah, you know what? We since this looks like it's going to be a great success, we're probably going to work with Mad Voters again to do another civics literacy lab. I mean, it's something that we concentrate on most of the time. When we're out at all kinds of events, people ask us to come to, you know, fairs and, health fairs and schools, and the list is endless, where we go out and we table and we talk to people about civics and register them to vote. So this is like a big thing for us. But we have monthly meetings. We have events all the time where we're asking our elected officials just to come in, especially our state officials, just to come in and explain to us what's going on in the state house. That's always really helpful. So we have lots of those. We have our U.S. congressman who's coming in September, on September 25th. He's going to come in and talk to us about what's going on in Washington,
oh wow.
according to him, what he's seen going on in Washington. So, but we have monthly meetings where we either informational, educational, we give people the lowdown on what's happening, like I said, locally, state, and federal. And then we have reports from all of our committees. We try to do education on different topics, and it's always a full house. People are really happy to get all that information.
Yeah.
That's awesome, and it sounds like there's always something going on. So that's great. There's like always an
Yep.
opportunity to hop in.
No, there is.
Now, yeah, Karen, your event here on the
Yes.
31st. What kind of organizations do you have that you're partnering with for this
Oh,
activist fair?
awesome. Yeah, no, we tried to get a pretty broad like spectrum. So there's a couple of speakers, and I think they're both pastors who are doing the speaker. They're like opening the event and giving a speech. And then we're all going to leave like the main hall and go down to the basement where there's like a ballroom down there. And so that's where all the groups are. And so we've got some environmental groups. The Sierra Club's coming. There's a group called Citizens Climate Lobby that'll be there. There's a couple of Indivisible groups, and we'll have our because we have like a West Indy, there's like an East Indy, there's like several in just Marion County area.
Some
And so
subgroups, yeah.
so we'll have like West Indies focus a lot on immigration issues, so they'll have a lot of events coming up for that. Indivisible Central Indiana will be there, obviously tabling, and so we're going to go over those the meetings that we're having with the just come get coffee or come get dinner kind of social events. Those are most of what's coming up, but we are going to do another activist fair probably in like maybe September or October. And then we've got a reproductive rights group. I forget the name of it, but one will be there. There's a couple of different like civil education groups. Mad Voters will be there. There's the ACLU. I think they have a table. And then there's probably 3 or 4 other groups. I think there's like 19 total. So we tried to get like a broad
Oh, wow.
range of like different
Yeah.
topics where, people come and kind of find their niche or find the different like avenue that they want to make their way into this movement with. So that was our focus this time. I think last time it was just like whoever wants to come, but this time we're a little bit more intentional. And then the next one hopefully will be even more like a wider variety of groups. They'll hear about this one maybe, and then we'll want to go to the next one. But coming up here, like we just formed those action teams. So already scheduled, we're collaborating with West Side Indivisible, West Indy Indivisible, and they're doing some immigration stuff. There's this Camp Atterbury stuff coming up, so there's going to be quite a few actions around
Yeah.
that. More going up to Todd Young again, even though he is in hiding. We'll find him, I guess. Maybe we'll just drive past him on the street one day and we'll all jump out of the car and say, "Hey, what the heck?"
Flash mob. Yeah.
I know. And then there's been the Hamilton County Democrats are very good. They have like a lot of community events. They have a lot of like
They have a lot going
coffee
on.
and dinner and like drinks. And they had a night at the blues in Noblesville, and they sold out of tickets like after like a day. I couldn't even get in. Like I was like, oh, I want to go to this, but it was completely sold out. Like they participate in like parades. There's like a Spark parade. I went up there with Fisher's Dems to be with their float and like hand out candy and bubbles and stuff. That was a lot of fun. But they are very active. It was like Marion County.
Both their current chair in Hamilton County, Josh Lowry, and their previous
I've met
chair,
him. I met him one of those.
He's really got a lot going
on. Our friends of the pod. They're both they're lovely people up there, and it really speaks to the bluing of the suburbs, because Hamilton County is the most affluent area of the state. This is the Indianapolis bougie north suburbs, and the people that like used to be what you would consider like your typical country club Republicans
are not so much.
A lot of those folks, they have people in their lives who have been targeted by the extreme far right, and you know what, they might be doing well for themselves, but they have morals and they have lines, and they value certain things more than money. And
I mean, there was a huge thing with like a book ban at like a high school. And they were like, "Oh, we're going to ban this," and it pissed everyone off. Nobody was happy about that. And then they eventually,
and that was Micah Beckwith was intimately involved in that. That's his stomping grounds. Yeah,
what a Yahoo, man! What a Yahoo. I'm actually going to write like a piece for Mad Voters on that, because I maintain the Indy 5051 Substack. And so we post essays on there sometimes, and like he's gonna get one because he did this town hall meeting, and it was just insanity, the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. He doesn't know anything about anything, and I hate that this is the norm now, where they just want people who are totally uninformed and don't care to learn.
Yeah, well, I wish he was as big an idiot as he sounds like most of the time. He knows goddamn well what he's doing.
Well, I mean, he knows what he's doing in terms of getting power, but he does not know things about things.
No,
so,
he
like,
does not.
So he knows how to, like, it wasn't especially complicated, I think, for him to get the position he has, because he just had his congregation do some delegates thing. Somebody explained it to me. The Fishers, Sarah Van Docklin of Fishers Democrats, great lady.
He is a very competent, charismatic grifter.
Yes, exactly, and that's all you need now, I guess. Apparently, but he does not know anything about any. It was really, really incredible, the speech or the things he was saying, and I cannot wait to write the essay about it. I've been busy with this activist fair thing, so I haven't had a chance, but.
So listen, Micah Beckwith might not know anything about anything, but our listeners know things about things. And one thing they do still need to know is where they can learn more about you and your organizations. Kim, where can people get involved with Indivisible Northwest Indiana?
People can go to indivisible.nwi.org. That is our fantastic website. They can actually sign up for our really fantastic newsletter. It's actually a newsletter that many organizations up here share. Our newsletter is written by a librarian. She's one of our steering committee, and she's fantastic and does all of the research in the world on everything. We tell people it's a long newsletter, but it's one of those things where just go down the paragraphs, see what jumps out to you, pull that out. Yep. If you can't read the whole thing, there's always something in there that people can use. So it's indivisible.nwi.org. People can sign up for email. They can sign up for the newsletter, or they can always catch us. Our Facebook page has hundreds of thousands of people who actually come on and interact with us. So that's a great place as well.
That's so good to hear. I'm so proud of the region. Karen, how about Central Indiana? How can folks get involved with you?
So we have a website as well. I think right now it's like down for construction because it hasn't been coming up in search results today. So I think they're updating it maybe with the stuff that we're putting up there now. But we also have a newsletter. It goes out weekly. And so it covers all the events that are coming up, not only for us, but also for local groups that are running things. So if Mad Voters or any of the Democrat groups are doing some event, it'll be in there. Also comes with like a summary kind of current events or like the events of the week. It's a brief one, so you won't have to tire your eyes out reading too much, but it is there. We have a Facebook group as well. Honestly, the best thing to probably do is just search in Google or whatever your search engine is, Indivisible Central Indiana. A lot of our events will show up that are registered on Mobilize. Our Facebook group will come up. The website will come up. And so basically you can just go on there and we post everything everywhere, kind of. So if you're following one place, following us one place, you'll be able to see mostly everything. But if you go on Mobilize too and search for us, all of our events that are scheduled will be up there. And we post every event to Mobilize as well. So you will get updates to anything you sign up for. You can be reminded of the times and the locations and everything. But I hope we'll see you at this July 31st Activist Fair. We have a capacity of about 300 to 400. And a lot of people tend to register at the last minute or to show up without registering. So I would recommend going to Mobilize and searching Good Trouble Activist Fair, Indiana. It should be like the first search result if you look for that. And go ahead and register on there. You can register that you're bringing multiple people. So if you are, I do recommend that you do make a note of that if you're bringing like 10 people with you, just so we can have like a rough idea of how many people have signed up and how many people are coming. It's going to be at Broadway Methodist Church. This is on Fall Creek Road in Indianapolis.
I have been to this facility.
It's a really great church. It's beautiful.
Gorgeous old church.
It's really nice. Yeah. But this is where we had the Todd Young, the first empty chair town hall. So if you attended that or you saw it on the news, it's at that same location. We'll be sending out reminders in the day before as well, so that you guys remember where you're going. Parking is limited there, so you may have to park a couple of streets away. If you do have accommodation issues or you're going to need like an accessible entrance or something like that, you can always contact us through the Indivisible or through the Mobilize event, and we will arrange that for you. But other than that, you may have to put your feet in the road a little bit to walk, but not too far, just a block or two over where there'll be more parking. So.
We're also on Blue Sky. I forgot to mention.
We're
on Blue Sky.
We're on Blue Sky and Instagram and
all of
Facebook, and I don't maintain those. Other members do that, but we are there.
No, but it definitely sounds like wherever you are, there is a way to get involved, to get a hold of Indivisible in whatever jurisdiction you're in. There are more chapters throughout the state than just Central Indiana and Northwest Indiana. I just happen to have Karen and Kim with me here today. And listen, both of you, I thank you so much for your work, the activism that you do, the organizing. I know it takes a lot of work. It is often unsung, but I appreciate you, and we're gonna turn this thing around. We're gonna win this thing. We're going to build a more just human future, and I'm glad folks like both of you are on the ground working toward that future. So thank you both.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate that as well. Tell your friends. Feel free to just show up as well. Don't worry about it. If you didn't register, you can still come.
All right. Karen Byrd, Kim Eldridge, thank you so much for joining the Who's Left podcast tonight.
Good night, everybody.
Once again, that was Karen Byrd from Indivisible Central Indiana and Kim Eldridge from Indivisible NWI. Both groups are hosting events this week and already have more lined up. Check them out. Get involved. If you're not near one of these groups, go to indivisible.org to find a chapter near you. There is a place for you in this fight. But Sunday morning, the place for you to be is on the Project Next Media Network's YouTube, Facebook Live, or Twitch streams, where I'll be hosting Who's Left this week. Come check that out live if you get a chance. It's a lot of fun if you can call following the news in this timeline fun. But sometimes you have to laugh to keep from going crazy. I bring together panelists from the Democratic Socialist left to Never Trump conservatives, and we look at the week's headlines from around Indiana and beyond. We'll also take time to examine one big thing, a different deep dive every week. I hope to see you there in the comments, but if you can't make it live, the program will be available as a podcast Sunday afternoon. Thanks once again to Karen and Kim for their time and all the work they do in their communities. Find just one way, through Indivisible or otherwise, to help yours. Finally, one last bit of virtual panhandling. Please consider a paid subscription at whosleft.us, where you'll find everything I've ever published. I rely solely on the generosity of kind patrons like you to make this information available for free to everybody. In addition to the website, you can also find me on Facebook, Blue Sky, YouTube, and TikTok at Who's Left, or on most other social media sites at ScottROG78, where you can hit me up with feedback, tips, ideas, and concerns. Finally, please forward the show to a friend and have them pass it on. Let's keep building this project and a truly democratic state, one conversation at a time. Until the next one, this has been the Who's Left podcast. I'm Scott Aaron Rogers. Love each other, Indiana.